Well, welcome to the Sony stage number 2. My name is Rob Aubey. I'm from Sony Creative Software. Our kiosks and our booth area is right to my right over here. Today we're going to talk about the Blu-ray disc. Kind of an old format now, right? 2007 is when the format was really officially launched. And what we're going to do today is do some boring stuff up front. We're going to talk about some facts and the status of the Blu-ray disc and how it is doing today in the market. And I think some of these numbers may surprise you with the popularity of downloads and streaming and the broadband network and Netflix and all of that kind of stuff. You'll be surprised actually at how important physical disc is still, and especially the Blu-ray disc. And then actually we're going to touch on a little bit about 4K on Blu-ray and whether that's even a realistic format extension, if you will, for the Blu-ray disc and some of the hurdles that are coming with that. And then we're going to talk about a format option for the Blu-ray disc that deals with nothing but audio. And it's, I hate to call it new, but it kind of is a new format. I think it's just a new formulation of how to use the Blu-ray disc to deliver high-resolution audio to your customers or your homes or whatever you have. So let's get a few of these facts and figures out of the way. If you think of the Blu-ray disc as a physical media, which it is, along with the DVD, which is another physical disc media, worldwide, 75%, 3-to-1, of all purchased entertainment disc entertainment options, TVs and movies, for example, are still delivered via a physical disc. Obviously, download and streaming is still very popular, becoming more popular all the time and more accessible. But it doesn't compare yet to the delivery of Blu-ray and DVD. It is still the preferred method to deliver your high-definition content to your end users, to your customers, is on a Blu-ray disc. In the US or in North America, for example, in 2014, over 700 million units were shipped between Blu-ray and DVD. By 2015 and 2016, if you follow the projection here on this chart, over 1 billion units are going to be shipped using physical media. That is an enormous number, well outclipsing the capabilities of downloading and streaming and broadband to deliver accurate media that plays consistently without any buffering, without playback issues, without disconnects from your home network. The physical disc is still the premier way to deliver content. A proof of that was just this last holiday season here in the US. Another record sales year for the physical disc for Blu-ray. $415 million worth of Blu-ray discs were sold in the November-December timeframe, a 10 million increase from the year before, and it's been a record-setting holiday season since the format launched in 2007. So just some quick examples of where this format still is, how it's used in the US, how it's used worldwide. It is the premier method of delivery of HD content all over the world. And some of the reasons for that is this number right here. That may surprise you. In the US alone, there are over 65 million players in people's homes. Now that includes the PS3, it includes now the PS4 and the Xbox One, which have Blu-ray drives in them. And those are brand new devices that the manufacturers installed Blu-ray discs into. And that's an important distinction because the popularity of the format is as high as it's ever been. There are over 8,500 HD titles on the market. That is a huge number as well. So over 50%, over 60% of US households have some form of Blu-ray playback in their homes. So let's spin this forward a little bit to 4K. Or UHD. So back in January at the Consumer Electronics Show, the Blu-ray Disc Association, which is the governing body for Blu-ray worldwide, I know them as the BDA, they announced that the format would allow for 4K or UHD to be placed on a physical Blu-ray disc for distribution of media content. A great announcement, very helpful in my industry to hear that from the BDA. But don't get terribly excited about when this might happen. Unofficially, we're looking at the holiday season of 2015 before we may see actual Blu-ray discs that have UHD content on them. So a movie of 4K quality natively on the disc. There's a long road to go before we get the specification updated, decided upon, and configured, and the tools made available to make this happen. So it's going to happen. It's happening now in the back-end rooms of discussion. All of that is based on the popularity of the UHD television sets as well. As this other quote mentions from CEA, 55% of all 55-inch or larger LCD screens by 2017 will be UHD sets. That's an important factor to remember. Sets in people's homes drive people to want content that can play on those sets natively and at the full resolution. And what is that resolution? UHD for home use is characterized as 3840 by 2160. In the video world, 4K or UHD can be higher than that from a camera capture acquisition standpoint. But for television screens for home definition of UHD, it will be 3840 by 2160. The screen resolution will stay the same as we have now for HD 16 by 9. As I mentioned, some of the factors that are important for 4K delivery of video on a physical disc are going to be the frame rates, the video codecs decided, the dynamic range. There's a lot of discussion of these parameters that still have not been defined. I don't have exact details to share today. We should have those details in the coming months. The disc layer size, for example, just to give you a clue, current disc layer size for Blu-ray is single layer or dual layer, 25 gigabytes or 50 gigabytes in the dual layer size. As we research the UHD necessities to deliver full content of 4K, that disk capacity even needs to be larger. We're probably talking about a 100 gigabyte Blu-ray disc, perhaps a triple layer disc rather than a dual layer disc. So you take 100 gigabytes and you divide it by 3, you have a 99 gigabyte disc, 33, 66, and then 99 on the triple layer. So the size capacity is increasing. The dynamic ranges will change. Video frame rates will be added. Video codecs need to be decided. All of those details to come soon down the road. If you have really specific questions about that later on, I'm happy to talk to you a little bit more about that. Just a little side note here. If you have a 4K television and you're really hot for 4K content, one of the best-selling Blu-ray players on the markets now are these 4K upscaling Blu-ray players that do a fantastic job of upscaling HD content to the UHD resolution for 4K. I highly recommend them if you're interested. You can buy some wonderful Sony Pictures movie discs now that were encoded from the original 4K native formats into an HD signal on the Blu-ray disc because that's all it supports, just HD. But the up-res is great. I mean, you can hardly tell the difference. Super nice. These players, they can't keep them in stock. They're selling through fast. So the consumer demand here sure is trending to a 4K home theater environment where people are going to look for great 4K content. Okay, spin my wheels a little farther forward and back here. Let's talk about high-resolution audio on a Blu-ray disc. So pure audio, maybe you've heard the term, maybe not. There's nothing new here technically on a Blu-ray disc that allows you to put high-res audio on it for playback through a Blu-ray player to your home theater. The newness is just kind of the packaging and the design of how the disc works. We've always been able to put high-resolution audio on a Blu-ray disc from the very beginning. You maybe don't realize it, but when you buy a movie disc from the stores and you put it in your Blu-ray player, there's usually a couple streams or tracks of audio that you can select from, and that's maybe dependent on your capabilities of your home theater system. So a movie studio will put a stereo audio stream for the feature movie, 2.0 stereo stream on the disc, but they'll also add a DTS HD stream, or they'll add a Dolby True HD stream, and if your receiver is capable of decoding those audio codecs, you've got high resolution audio of the movie. 5.1 surround sound, 7.1 surround, it's beautiful audio, and it's great. And that's always been part of the audio of the Blu-ray disc. But that audio stream is perfect for audio from an album of an artist. And with today's technology of being able to repurpose the original master audio tracks from an artist, either former albums or current recordings, is the ability to utilize these high-res codecs and deliver audio on a Blu-ray disc in an audio way or an audio design that is most impressive if you have a stereo system that can handle it. So a Blu-ray player is a media player, just as a CD player is a media player. So you always could buy a CD and it had audio on it, and you place the disc in the player and you're able to navigate around the disc because you're very familiar instinctively of how to use your CD remote to go to different tracks and to play the different songs on the album. You can do the same thing with a properly authored Blu-ray disc of audio, where we allow you to navigate the disc with a remote control, choose the different tracks of the album, and also choose the different video audio resolution tracks. And I'll show you an example of a disc here in just a moment. But some of the features that we are promoting for Blu-ray and using pure audio on a Blu-ray disc are screenless navigation. You can turn off your television, or maybe you don't have one hooked up at all, and all you have is a Blu-ray player hooked up to your big receiver. You can navigate a pure audio disc without ever looking at a menu screen, and you can play back the different audio streams as you need to. All pure audio Blu-ray discs play in a Blu-ray player. There's 65 million of them in the US. They're all hooked up to an audio system, usually in your home, if you have a stereo system or a surround sound system. You've got all the infrastructure ready to go. You don't have to go out and buy a brand new tape recorder. You don't have to buy a new CD player. You don't have to buy a new mini disc player. You've already got a Blu-ray player. Maybe it's in your PS3. Maybe it's a standalone unit. I'll come back to that last bullet point in a minute. That's kind of interesting, actually. So here are some of the spec details between CD audio and pure audio, just to kind of refresh our memories. Duration is obviously much larger because we're talking about a Blu-ray disc up to 50 gigabytes versus a CD disc with much lower capacity. That allows us to stack in those really high-res audio streams that can be very large. Just to give you an example, a 2-hour concert or a 2-hour length album, a double vinyl album, the DTS HD bitrate stream for audio of that album can be up to 6 gigabytes in size, just the audio stream itself. That would never fit on a CD, so a Blu-ray disc is a perfect vehicle to deliver that audio stream to your system. So if my video friend in the back here will switch me to the Blu-ray player. Thank you. So I have a pure audio Blu-ray disc right here, one of them that's in production now. You can go and buy it. This is the Patricia Barber Jazz Jazz Blu-ray disc. And we're looking at a menu screen. And this is one thing to remember about pure audio as I get through the details is that the video track isn't used in pure audio. Think of it as a CD. It's all audio. There's no video, there's no concert footage, there's no music videos to choose from, because the whole idea is this is an album. There's no video on your record album, there's no video on your cassette player, there's no video on your CD. So it's the same concept, the same idea behind a standard music delivery method, but we're using a high capacity disc that can put much more data information on it and provide the highest resolution streams of audio quality that have ever been able to be provided. So for example, I can drive through this disc very easily with the remote and drive to the tracks that I want using this static menu screen. And you would normally see this on a pure audio Blu-ray disc if you had a monitor on. But if I turned off this monitor, I could easily navigate this disc without ever looking at the monitor because I have all the information on the back of the packaging like any CD does. And you can find the track and you can say, oh, I need track 8. Already on 8. And I want to play the 5.1 surround sound stream. And I can easily navigate to that stream and choose 5.1 and play the 5.1 stream. So if my receiver at home is capable of decoding DTS HD 5.1, you've got a surround sound stream of this album playing back. Beautiful stuff. If your receiver is really only capable of stereo, the original wave uncompressed files, well, you choose that. No problem, you choose it off the menu. So a question might be, how do I choose that from the remote? Well, let's look at something that's unique to a Blu-ray remote. Everyone has a Blu-ray remote at home, and you've probably seen the colored buttons and said, what are these for? Never used them, never seen them used. Here's an application where these colored buttons on your Blu-ray remote are easily used and very important. The colors coordinate here, red and yellow, to the red and yellow buttons on the remote control. So without a monitor on, I can change the audio stream by just touching on the red button, and it switches to 5.1, I hope, right? Yeah. And then I can switch back to 2.0 with the yellow button. Other discs, besides this one, might use all 4 buttons. They might have a Dolby True HD stream playing available, or the DTS stream, or a 2-channel Dolby Digital stream, and then the LPCM original uncompressed streams. All of them may be in different kilohertz, 24-bit, 96, or 192. So depending on your system's capabilities, you have a lot of options here to play back pristine audio from these albums. And that's a really powerful thing to have and to be able to deliver. No other format can do that for you. I can't do that on a different format, whether it was some of the older higher quality SACD options that were on, or DVD-A that were out there for a while. This is a great new way to do that, and the music labels are really, really embracing this. We're seeing hundreds of titles come out now since August on the 3 major labels: Warner Brothers, Sony Music, and Universal. By summertime here in the US, we should have multiple titles released from the 3 major labels, all in this format. Pure audio, screenless navigation, all capable of providing multiple versions of high-res audio to you for listening playback with no monitor needed, no video involved. You don't have to worry about it. So thanks, guys. I'll go back to my PowerPoint slide now. So I filled you up with pure audio details. Now, how do we create these pure audio discs? So with Sony Creative Software, we're a software development company. And we have applications that allow you to manage your media and author your media and create your content in its final form. Our DoStudio authoring application, which has been around for a few years with us at SES, is a Blu-ray authoring application. We've updated it in 4.0 to allow for pure audio authoring, to allow you to author your discs in this pure audio style of authoring that I've described. So we can author a disc that allows for screenless navigation, using just the remote control for navigation, and add the different audio resolution tracks that are possible under the Blu-ray specification: LPCM, DTS HD, Dolby Digital, on and on. Here's a quick screenshot of the UI for DoStudio. It's a pretty common looking UI. There's nothing really fancy here. What I wanted to draw your attention to was this is the playlist structure of the disc. And here's one playlist that I have on this project. And it has a video stream because we always have to have a video stream for Blu-ray authoring. That's the way the specification is detailed. If you didn't want to build a menu like we just saw a moment ago, you could easily fill that video track with black video, so that if someone did turn on a monitor, they would just see black and they wouldn't realize it, but obviously there would be no video. The point is, it's required to have some kind of video stream in the project, so we have to have a video track. But my 4 other tracks here that are filled up with 4 unique audio streams are my 5.1 Dolby Digital stream, 7.1 MLP stream, which is the acronym for True HD from Dolby, a Dolby Digital 2.0 stereo stream, and a 2.0 PCM stream, or LPCM, the wave file, uncompressed wave file. And this is part of the menu that's part of this particular project, if I had it in the project, right? And these would be the 4 buttons you would see on screen, which line up perfectly with the 4 buttons available on your Blu-ray remote, the colored buttons. So this is just a visual example of what the 4 buttons would be, and that would all be labeled on your packaging. It's the only way really to convey the details of the project or the disc album is with the packaging. So on the back of the packaging you would see the color code designation, you would see the album track number, and you could easily navigate a pure audio Blu-ray disc simply and freely without ever getting to a menu screen, a television monitor. Sorry about that. So in wrap-up, pure audio on Blu-ray is a new way to use the Blu-ray disc to deliver high-quality, high-resolution audio to your customers, to people with a good home theater system, even people with just a stereo TV. Still very useful. With the install base of Blu-ray players around the world and in the US, it is a great delivery method because there's no extra worry about the infrastructure that you need to play that disc. Everybody has or might have a Blu-ray player. They can easily play pure audio. If you're looking for the highest quality audio as the artists intended it in stereo, in surround sound, if that's an available master from the artist, the Blu-ray disc is a great method to deliver that audio style to the end users, to your customers in a way they've never used before. And in the studios, the major label studios like Sony and Universal and Warner Brothers are really getting behind this, and you should see multiple titles coming out. You may be purchasing these titles, you know, for the 3rd time or 4th time if you bought the vinyl and then the cassette, and or maybe the 8-track, and then you bought a CD, and you know, but you've never had the ability to play it back in this kind of quality. The quality level, even up through the CD player, has always been a little light, right? It hasn't been as nice as it could be. I'm going to back up and go back and show you just one more thing that I skipped over earlier. And that's this bullet point down here. So this is something that's really cool that the studios are doing. Remember, the capacity on this disc is up to 50 gigabytes, pretty large. Even with a full double-sided Beatles Sgt. Pepper's album on there in stereo with multiple master tracks of streaming that you can, content on the discs to play back, there's still room left over. And what some of the studios are doing is they're putting a WAV file version or an MP3 or a FLAC version of the title of all the tracks on the data portion of the Blu-ray disc, allowing you to use your Blu-ray disc in your PC and download those MP3 files for your other devices, or download the FLAC file for another usage case in other devices. So we're seeing more and more of the studios who are putting out pure audio discs, providing you with exact copies in other formats so that you can use them on your other devices. A really nice way to kind of up the value of the disc and provide you with a new way and a new option for using that music that you're buying for the 20th time. Sometimes, you know, maybe you only have 1 or 2 tracks of that Beatles album, but now you'll have the full version and you can download and use those additional files on your other devices. So a super nice thing that they're doing, you know, it's very consumer friendly, very agreeable to most people. As long as you can download that content off the disc, you're good to go. One of the options that some I've seen already done a couple times is that disc that's put into the Blu-ray player. If your Blu-ray player is a Wi-Fi enabled player and you have it connected to your home router, the disc will connect with that home router system, and if you know the IP number of your Blu-ray player and you call it up in a web browser, you'll see a list of those downloadable files, and you can download them right to your system or your laptop. Any device that can access the IP number through your router of your Blu-ray player, super convenient. You might not have a Blu-ray disc player in your PC, but you have a router in your home. And if you have a title that has downloadable content accessible by Wi-Fi, super convenient, easy to do. So that kind of wraps up my short presentation on the Blu-ray disc and the evolution and where we are today. As I mentioned, I have a kiosk over here where I can go into a lot more detail about this and show you more examples of some of the stuff that I've been talking about. But thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. My name's Rob. Please find me if you need to or ask me any questions. Happy to help you out. Thanks very much.